Hi, this is Lynn Schnebley with Educating with Wisdom, and I'm making a correction to this word mshl. I'm making a correction to something that I said. In this particular piece, I was responding to other interpretations that, for some reason, that word in Genesis 3, it didn't really link up with me. I was so busy. Let's take a look at it. mshl. I was so busy in Genesis 3 looking up to what is the goddess, or I should say, linking up to what is male, what is female, be is in, not over, looking at the pronouns, looking at other things. I wasn't looking at that word, and yet it's interesting because I've already investigated that word. And you know, when you have the information it's in the back of your head, you know it's there, you know what it is, but because you're not using it in speech with other people, it's not to the forefront. So for some reason, I was busy reacting to what other people were writing instead of using what I know. Let's go in. That person is claiming, or there's a claim being made, that this particular word means is like. Mshl is like. And I'm responding to that as well, versus rule over. Mesha does not mean to rule over. It means to draw out. It can be to draw out over water. It can mean to save, but typically speaking, it means to draw out, to save. And it's been used for midwives. It's been used for salvation. All right. The L at the end is always in infinitive with God. So it is a suffix that is almost like a compound word, and it means related to God in some way. It doesn't mean, right, it is something that's related to God. In the same way we have dentist, and IST means you're a practitioner on your teeth. All right. A worker, a doctor, someone who does work, someone who is deals with doctoring. All of these things, when that L is at there, it's like a suffix that means related to God. Michael, Gabriel, Daniel, some of the great prophets are related to God. So when we look at mshl, it's with an S. And that S is not a K or a CK or a KH, or I should say a KH, a CH. The shin, the SH, is a different letter and has a different meaning in the Hebrew alphabet. On top of that, we have to look now at the pronouns, which I will actually come out and say the male pronoun, which is HV, or HVE, depending upon how you want to say that word, is really a take on Hava. So we're looking at the male appropriation of women's terms and women's more women-friendly cultures that they took over, both the Hatti and the Hurrian. Let's come out of me and let's begin to look at this. So we're looking at two things. We're looking at the L that's at the end. We're looking at the Michael, which means to be like. David's predominant wife, Michael, Saul's daughter, means like God, who's like God. Micah means who is like, but the L is not there. But Michael is David's first wife from Saul, and that is who is like God, and she stands up for God. David is wrong in what he's doing, and the church and all clergy have fallen down on that. They keep giving David, saying that David is correct and he's not. So Michael is who is like. And you're going to say, well, it says mshl. No, it doesn't. The translation is actually Michael. Let's go in and see what the Michael, which would be who is like, and the mshl, which is to draw out God. which is what that Genesis 3 is really about. Then there is a second part to it, and that is the I that they put beforehand. Like, so they have the hand, or Yad mshl, Ya mshl, and they're saying that means he draws out. Well, the Yad is a feminine. The Yad is a feminine letter in Hebrew. And if we were to say he, we would have the pronoun at the end of the verb. So what we really have is a word that the men that have interpreted this Bible are extremely uncomfortable with, because what it sets up is this rulership and this co-jointly. It's not really a rulership, but a co-joint relationship that women have with God, which is discussed in Genesis 4. The problem is that then with Genesis 4, they take off with this absolutely outrageous story of the Canaanites versus the people that shepherd. And I will tell you all the time, the shepherding people that come in and take land are always the warring bad guys. And the people that are farmers that are developing the land are always the more peaceful agriculturists. And they make Genesis 1 and 2 says, and Genesis 1 says that farming is what's going to get you your food, not killing animals. Okay, the wheat of the ground is going to get you your food. The rice from the ground is going to be your food. The trees are going to be your food. So there's a whole kind of diabolical retaking that occurs within the Cain and Abel story to twist the story, to call what's right wrong and what's wrong right. And they do the same thing when the woman realizes that she needs to be covered up. What's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. So there's this whole upside down relationship that occurs because of the diabolical men. And there's no other way to say it. It's a power struggle. So let's go on, and it's a power struggle that Jesus does not support. And it's a power struggle that you go out and you say these awful things, and then you have all these patchworks that you're putting on all over the place, hoping that if you put a patch and a lie over here and a patch and a lie over here, that you're going to be able to straighten out this humongous lie that you put on the bottom. But you can't. You have to deal with the humongous lies you've put on the bottom. And let's remember as well, the Thracians bring down the huge snake people, the dragon. In Isaiah, I think it is Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 54, and it is the woman who is going to kill that snake. And Anara, who originally comes to us from the Hattis, is one of the ones who helped to kill the snake people. So let's come out of me now. Let's come in and see the mshl. First of all, here is David's wife. Now notice they want to call it mshl, like an SH, mshl. And they keep saying that. But it isn't. It's Michael. Let's see what the translation is. Samuel. That's because they're very uncomfortable on what it's saying. It's time to pass, and Saul does not give David Merab. And she is loving Michael. And she is loving mshl. Now notice they put mshl here, but the real translation, that particular word right there, it's K. And they tell you it's K. It's not mshl. It's M-Y, which is the I, Michael. M-Y-K-L. Her name is Michael. This is the first time we see Michael in the Bible, and it means who is like God. Okay? Her name is Michael. Micah means who is like, El means God. Who is like God? She is the one. Now they have mshl here, but it's Michael. Here we go. Or it would be mshl, but it's Michael. This is not the Hebrew. It is a K. Michael. Now, let's come over to the, actually I should go to the Genesis thing. This is what we're looking at. In grief, which is actually in hard labor, notice the in, all right? In hard labor, you shall, and that is the I ending for the verb, which is going to be an imperative. You shall for the feminine. Let's see if I have that up. I do. I have it here. Here is the feminine singular. This is the, and this is in Wikipedia, by the way, but it's elsewhere, but they put it all together here nicely. Here is the I. It is, all right, it is a feminine singular, do, and it has the I ending. The male plural, do, has a U ending, and the female plural, do, has an A ending. There you go. And this should not be an AM ending for a male. It should be an IM ending. So let's come back to this again. They take the I. Now, this is imperfect. We're looking at that is going to be an imperative. So let's come back into here. I'm increasing grief of you, pregnancy of you, and grief you shall give birth. So this is, it's an imperative. You will give birth. All right, she, singular, sons, should be children, and to man of you, impulse of you, and that is the you, that's at the end, impulse of you, and he shall rule. This is incorrect. This is added later. First of all, that is an. That is their pronoun for he, but this is really not ua or hua, which is what, or who, which is what the Hebrews say. Because if we go into the Hebrew alphabet, here is your H, hey, so it would be ha, and this is what that letter is. And then they have an A here, which should be an, let's see which one they have here. Okay, they have the letter A. So let's go in and take a peek. They have V as in vine or bet. They have V as in vine. It does not have a U sound. It does not exist. It has an H, which is a ha, so it's have, and then it has an A. Where's our silent ala up here? Ah. So it's hava. And hava is a take on the goddess Haba. Yeah. So they have appropriated one of the names of the great goddess, Habit, Kabit, Haba, Kaba, which is not Sybil or Kababa. They have done a take on her and made it the male masculine pronoun. Yeah, they did. Bad you. Well, that will keep you out of heaven. There we go. Because she's over heaven. And let's come back into this. Here's the word. He mshl. Now remember, if this were a verb, he mshl. First of all, it's misha. Misha can be related to Moses, and it is. It can mean to draw out. Let's see if we can find it where it's burden salvation. And that can be salvation, like the Messiah. They think it's related to that. For Maisha, safety. These are all goddess symbols, by the way. Deliverance. The king of Moab was Misha, by the way. Deliverance, safety. But what it doesn't mean, loyal, it does not mean to rule over. Now, Misha was a ruler of Moab. And let's screenshot that. Remember, I told you the Moabites and that group took over the area of Israel. Misha was a ruler of Moabite. He sacrificed a person up on the hill. That's where they end up with Moses as well. There's no mention of Moses in Isaiah, and in much of the Bible, Moses is not mentioned, and his laws are not mentioned in most of the Old Testament. I think it's mentioned more in the New Testament than it's mentioned in the Old Testament. So, no, Misha does not mean to rule over. That was just the name of a ruler, a Moabite, a very bad guy, big bad guy, bad guy. So, what does this mean? It actually means salvation, or it means hand God, hand salvation God in you. And Haba, hand salvation God in you. What it does not mean is shall rule over thee. At all. Nada. Zip. And Abba, hand salvation God in you. That makes more sense because it's certainly not the wicked ruler of the Moabites. And it's not his husband, because I've already set the case for this. Let's go into Genesis 4. There's another translation. And in the human, he knew, and let's remember that they do not have the appropriate suffix ending for this to be a verb for a male. And this I beforehand is the hand, and the hand is a feminine noun. So, none of this is correct. Genesis 4. And Shua, now they put a CH here, but it's Hua, Chava, and Eve, Chava, or just plain Hava, Chava. This could be Chava or Hava. This is definitely Haba, the Chabet, the Chaba. This is definitely she, woman of him, that is true. That is a him at the end, or of you, woman of you. And the human he knew, Hava. In the woman he knew, Hava, woman of you. That's a you. And, no, excuse me, the K would be a U at the end. So he knew Hava, like the goddess, woman of him, and she, that's true, and pregnant. Here we have the ER, and pregnant. Let me see what that means. Let's go in and look at this. Is this a pregnant? Well, that's actually a noun, and I'm looking at becoming pregnant, and pregnant, and pregnant, and she becoming pregnant. Hair. There's a problem. The T could be at. It should be at becoming. Hera is pregnant. It's Horan is pregnancy. Hora. There should be an A at the end of it for pregnancy. It isn't there. And Hora, and she is giving birth. So this lets us know that there is a Horian attribute in here. And she is giving birth. And now all of a sudden, we have Cain and Abel, and the story really flies off the edge. But what is interesting is that she gives birth to Cain, who is the farmer, the peaceful farmer, by the way, the one that in Genesis 1, it says, and you're going to go out and do the fields, and you're going to grow things. And the one of the oldest piece of farming in Israel is like 23,000 years old, and it's the first agricultural research station. That's Cain, and she is saying, I acquired a man, and there should be no Y here. I acquired a man with, here's the hand, Hua, which is for them like the male pronoun, except it's really a play of Hava. It's Hava. That's what it is. We've already shown that this alphabet here, that letter is a V sound. There is no W. Nope. No W. So what are they doing? Well, they're playing games. That's what they're doing. It's what they're doing. It is what they're doing. And she is becoming pregnant, and she's giving birth to Cain, for Canaan, and she is saying, I acquired. This is an imperative. I acquired, imperative, man, because that is the ending for the imperative feminine. I acquired with hand of goddess. Now, where do we see that hand, that I, again? And this particular thing with the Cain Abel story is really about the bad Abel and not about the bad Cain, the farmer. So here we go. I inquired God with hand, and where do we see that hand again? We see that I beforehand, that hand, which is not he, right here. Okay? Now, this does not work at all. Let's go in and look at the word Aswana. Arts means land. Aswana was really Hittite. The Luvians took over, or the Luvians took over, and the Luvians picked everything up from, not Hittite, from Hattian. It's really Hattian. And the Hattians go way back on, and the Hurrians, and they are impacting all of the Semitic languages. The male-dominated Semitic languages are simply appropriating power structures, mythologies, paradigms, and they're making it their own, and they're calling it him. Paleolexicon. Here is Appa. Oh, let's come back here. In eastern Anatolia, and it becomes, its center is going to become Ephesus. That is its chief capital. So we know it's female goddess worshiping. Epa Now, this is the Hebrew word for land, except they put a T on it. Notice we have Eretz, like the great mountain. We have Eretz here. The Paleolexicon, Appa is 5. Eretz is earth. That is like the Hebrew. This is the Hattic dictionary. Remember, this is the arena, which is what they call the male in Revelations 12, which is not. It's the fountain spring. Or it's related to the goddess. So here's Eretz, it's earth. Here's Awa, come here. Eretz Awa. Now I thought that would be living. They're not always honest when we go into the dictionaries. Aya, to give. Awa, come here. Land, come here. Land, come here. See, here's Epasa, later known as Ephesus. Not living land. Land, come here. That was the name of the kingdom at that time. When that particular group of people took over, like this is Caria, which is the Caria, which are related to the Horians. When they did this, there was already an Indo-European group that was sitting on top of it. Notice the, Anyway, this really takes a far more critical feminist linguistical interpretation, because God, and I should call the thieves, when the thieves stole from the woman, they dropped the crumbs because they usurped it. They dropped the crumbs all over the place. And so part of what I do is impact study, looking at those primary archetypes and paradigms. Okay, I think I made the correction. Thank you. Now, I guess we should say namaste. The God that is within me. If you believe in God and if you believe in heaven, the God that is in me, well, it's a salutation. So, salutes you. It's reflective in that regard. So let's come out of here. It's better than usurping somebody's sexuality. Okay, it's early in the morning, but I had to make that correction because it's been bothering me for days.